What's going on, beautiful people out there in Utopia lands? This particular video is going to be an interesting one. We have a large piece of something that we've been looking for quite some time. I don't even know where to start with this one, so I guess we're just going to kind of jump in. But before we get going, so this video is going to be on the UCC, the straw man, and how it all comes together. All right, so there's going to be a couple of goodies in here. Now, I digress. One, always stay safe when you guys are out there. Make sure that you guys have watched all the updated videos to make sure you're doing right to travel right, your passport, and other things that are mentioned here on the videos. As always, we do not accept any responsibility whatsoever how you use the information here. These are merely tools, but how you use the tools can be used against you. So operate carefully, cautiously, properly as a non-belligerent non-combatant like myself. And make sure you understand and obey all the proper rules, laws, public, private, etc., etc. All right. Also, if you're in my Telegram group or groups, because we do have two, be careful about people pretending to be me, okay? Whether it's on this platform, Telegram, Instagram, whatever else I'm on, TikTok as well now, because people are scamming. So it's not me. I don't reach out to people. I don't have time. I'm always busy either with studying, family, my own stuff, crazy people in the world, and everybody messaging me to, get some information or whatever else. So I apologize if you reach me, the real me, and I don't message back. I'm just too busy. Don't take it personal. It's mostly just me doing this business. All right. And I do enjoy it. So if I'm not helping, then I'm reading and learning on how to, camera, pay attention. Sorry, automatic camera. Learning more things on how to move all of this forward. So I digress. It's a lot of work at times. That's why I've been trying to take some more time off. And that has been helping me overall. So anyway, you can find me and more information on blacksite32.com, as well as all of my other media outlets. I have a page called social media on there. You can see all the platforms I'm on and reach out there if you want, or just follow me on there and see what I'm talking about, whether it's my personal life to a degree, the public side, whatever else, it'll all be on there. As well as setting up consultations, the free files, the paid files, mobile notary, setting up trusts, programs to help you pay rent or to keep your house. Lots of this stuff and more, guys, on Black Site 32. Okay, there's a reason why I made it, so go there, check it out, download all the free files, read all of them, learn. There's lots of files. They're not in any particular order. Just get them and utilize them. Okay, educate yourself. All right. From there as well, please add me on also on my other YouTube channel, though I have like 5 or 6 other YouTube channels. The main one I'm trying to focus on growing right now is the Badwolf Media channel. All right, so add me on that one. That one I'm going to be talking about everything, anything, and whatever else. So I'll have a couple of videos on that one. There's a couple other small ones. They're just backup channels for certain informational pieces, but these two will be the main one. James C Lovett, the Badwolf, and the Badwolf Media channel. So add me over there. Let's get those numbers up over there, because that one I'm gonna have a little bit more leeway to talk about, what's in the news, actors, this, that, and the other, because I want to keep this channel focused on just this stuff. Okay, that one's going to be the open one. So add me over there, please, and thank you in advance. All right. Apologize for the lighting. The sun is coming, going down. So this is on the backside of my villa. Just a house, you know what I mean? All right. So anyway, let's get to it. So what is this video about? Wow. I've been looking for this piece, and I'm only looking for one more piece. And if I can find it, it is going to be fire. But this in itself, by itself, is huge. So one of the things I learned about the UCC is that all of the states, basically through the federal government, was like, you guys need to be uniform. Figure it out. So though the federal government itself is not bound to the UCC, from my understandings, they're not bound by it. They are their own thing. They have their own stuff. So they essentially said, hey, states, you guys need to get your stuff together And the states were like, yeah, we do need some kind of uniform thing. So they kind of all got together and they had various people from the United States of America, the Bar Association, people from Ireland and England and Europe and whatever, all the people kind of come together. And they essentially adopted these, what are known as essentially the Uniform Commercial Code, which has its roots through some of the people who helped put the UCC here together, and the Vatican and England and British laws and rules and codices and statutes and all that other stuff. So though officially the UCC is American, or let me say it's U.S., and many other places have used it around the world or have a version of it. And though essentially unofficially off the paper, it has its roots in all those various places I named, but more especially the Vatican, who kind of has a control over corporations and things of that nature. Allegedly through Unidroit, and Unidroit then controls the UCC. So they're all kind of in bed together in a weird kind of funky cold Medina way. So anyway, so we have to focus on what we have in front of us. All right. So I just want to kind of give you an idea of where this stuff kind of comes from. The people here did not just create themselves. They drew upon other resources, and in them drawing upon other resources, I can now see and understand why when we make mention of a legal entity, a legal person, the all caps name, the name in all capitalized letters, which is called topography. This is why people failed and lost their court cases trying to say, oh, that's not me, that's not spelled right. No, it's spelled right. It's just the look of it is called topography. And that's what you should have been arguing. So now, as I may have mentioned in my other video, there's two books. Let me grab them here. One is the Blue Book of Citations. This is what the book that they created, their internal laws, their members in the legal division got together and said, we need to have something uniform. This is what tells them how all of their citations, their forms, their court stuff is supposed to be formatted. If it's not formatted correctly, it is void. Okay, this is one of the secrets on how I was able to beat so many cases and whatever else. And for the record, no, I do not do cases, so do not email me and try to do a consultation for that, because if should that be the case, then I have to charge you at least half of what a lawyer would charge you. If I'm going to show you, you can do it yourself by getting these books. All right. The other one is the Red Book, a manual on legal styles. Now, when you see the word styles, it means how are things put together? What do they look like? Why are they using it? This is like the quantum syntax grammar of their entire system, which was put together by Brian A. Garner, okay, editor-in-chief of Black Law's Dictionary. So these are the books that he put together. So what I came to find out is that essentially each state, though they are a part of the UCC, and any corporation that incorporates through the state is then also under the UCC, whether they know it or not, whether they like it or not. But here's the thing I found out. Though the UCC, you can bring your complaints, take them to court over these things, and have the Secretary of State or the Attorney General look into them, or unless your state has a special department for that, whoever they name, they can look at the violations of the UCC and assist you with going after them and kind of put a little hurt on them, depending on the violation. But there's no official like UCC that's going to come down there and fight for you. Okay, so it's using their information. Then you find out stuff like the UCC is slightly different from state to state. So they're not all 100% identical. The states, though they have adopted the general use of the UCCs, there's no overstanding law that says you have to use it in its exact entirety. So that's one of the reasons why we've had some differences between how things are. Let me get the light. See if that'll make it a little bit better. Yeah, a little bit. So that's why we run into certain differences depending on which states you're in and how you do your UCC. I actually have a video on if you get denied. Actually, I have two videos. I've got one on my basic information on if you get denied, these are the reasons. And then the other one is a book issued that talks about reasons why a particular state might deny you. So you've got the shebang-a-bang right there. So go look for those videos on my YouTube channel as well. And hello to all the people around the world who watch my videos. It's amazing when I look at the analytics and see all the people that around the world that use my information. I'm on TikTok and whatever else. Now I'm on TikTok myself, but other people have my stuff on there as well. So thank you. As always, vet your own information. I'm just your door holder opener guy saying, hey, take a look at this. What do you think? All right. So though it is highly recommended that those corporations who've incorporated in the states, whether it's Smells Wargo or Stank One or whatever, or any of these places, or State of, Craptastic, whatever it is strongly urged that they use it. But it's like they're not forced to enforce or to abide by the code, because essentially they're creating their own that are kind of running parallel. So it's kind of messed up. Here we're supposed to rely on the UCC, and yet it's kind of looked at as like, that's a strong 60%, 70-ish% chance that we're supposed to abide by that. So though it is a uniform commercial code book and they are to use it as a guideline, some of them will ignore it. Now, this doesn't mean that they are supposed to. This just means that, it's kind of like going to grandma's house and everybody knows that her cake don't taste right. Grandma always mixes up the salt and the sugar. So you look at all the other good food and you're like, okay, yeah, here's how we're going to move. We're going to get that and get some of that. And then grandma's like, you should be eating some of my cake, baby. And you're like, And so you put a piece on your plate. So that's kind of what they're doing. They're kind of like, yeah, we will use that, but we don't like all the things in there. So then they change the code, their use of the UCC a little bit. So it's kind of a weird gray, not completely gray area, but there's no official law that I've been able to see that forces them to stay to it. But if they use the UCC, they are in their information, which a lot of them do, then they are supposed to be held to it, okay? So that's when you can bring in your attorney general and whoever else, contact your state and see if they have a department who helps you to deal with UCC violations. But anyway, I just want to give you guys that inside knowledge that I kind of found out. All right, so are you guys ready for this? All right, so a lot of these states and courts and whatever else, seeing how they adopted the UCC for commercial transactions. So it's there. They try not to make mention of it. They try to kind of like do their own thing. So they're touching it, but they're not exclusive. Kind of like somebody you've got friends with benefits with, but you're not a full-time thing. So the other person can't really tell you what to do unless you're interacting with them. There you go. That's how they operate with the UCC. So it's like a little touch and go. So when we talk to these people and we tell them that, oh, hey, I am not that legal person. I'm not that legal entity. I'm not the strong man. What they're really hearing is that you're saying you're not it. And we've been like, no, see, look how it looks, which is typography. And a lot of people, like I said earlier, have been messing it up, saying, oh, it's not spelled right. No, it's spelled right. It's spelled exactly like your name. So that's subrogation. There's a connection there. And yes, it is a state created, essentially it's a trust. They legalized and gave you a legal version, something that can be recognized within their PMA, their private members association, but it's so big, it's called the public. And they administer to the public, not the private. So they gave you a legalized commercial document because this is all commerce. Now, did you know, this is huge, just learned this today, that the federal government does not provide, nor are they obligated to create a national birth record. Okay, they allow the states or the state of to do it. They allow the republic part of the state, so Texas state to authenticate your heirloom or your certificate of live birth, but they allow the state to create your birth certificate, which then brings you into their jurisdiction in the legal or political jurisdiction as a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, a member of all of the state ofs. So no matter where you go, you're dealing with that as a corporation. And all those corporations out there, the paperwork is good by full faith and credit, which means that wherever you go with it, it is good in their system. Okay. So this also then tells me that anything that the government does not provide, such as a national ID card or a national record of live birth, we can create. Made videos on creating your own and all that and how to do it the proper way from my perspective. And I'm going to be putting some more things I'm doing to the test as well. We can do that. Now, the only thing is, if you do it the proper way, then they have to respect it. If you just do your own, they might say, oh, well, that's not, hasn't been properly brought into our system. We don't, our jurisdiction. We can't really see that. We don't, it's not official. Okay. So watch that video on creating your own birth certificates and getting it authenticated, or in this case, apostilled the right way. All right. So in arguing with this information, it brought me to two things. One, these style manuals have information on how and why they use the capitalized lettering. Some of these law people, essentially, they're the ones within that group. See, they're not the law. They're not federal law or God's law. They're in their own law. So they borrow from all these other places, their own thoughts on how they want to standardize these things amongst themselves. Now, the people in the low-level functionaries, no complete disrespect to those people, but they don't know because they don't question their bosses and they want to keep a paycheck, and their boss say, don't ask questions, just do it. Okay. Don't worry, anybody who talks about that, they're stupid, they're sovereign citizens, and they don't know what they're talking about. Okay. So as I'm reading through their books, they're talking about that. The difference between a living person and a natural person, a private person, and a debtor, a legal person, a legal entity. Okay, because once they create a legal version of you, that it is its own thing that you are operating, no different than a controller or whatever else. You are manipulating something on your behalf as a living, natural, private person. So the low-level people don't know any of this information. They also don't sit there and read the books. And in their general information that they have every day, it's not in there. You would have to get their styles manual. Then what I found out is that they all, once again, were not forced, but coerced amongst themselves also. And then amongst themselves, we need to standardize some things for the most part. The UCC book, and I already told you where the roots of that, most of that information comes from. Here's the part that you don't know. In their books, and especially in the UCC, I'm going to prove this to you. The UCC denotes, now we know it's for commercial, legal, official business transactions, right? And that means it's the opposite of the private, though you can do business in the private. This is for official and public things. Okay, which means legal, which means within their jurisdiction. And within the UCC book is where we find where they talk about the use of the capitalized name. So let's pull this up. Oh, I almost put my Facebook on the screen. You guys have been like, oh, found his real one. All right, here we go. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to be very redundant with this guys. So I'm gonna repeat this like 8, 9, maybe even 10 times. So don't get mad. I'm gonna show you all the corners that I can find. All right. So let's check it out. So I heard this term a long time ago. So right now we're on uslegal.com, and it says, now this is the key word, guys. This is the shebang right here. Okay, this is the bangity bang bang. Everybody out here who's got cases and you're trying to pinpoint these things down and take them to task, this is it. This is the grand poobah. Okay, the head water buffalo. Well, if you watch the Flintstones, bet if you're old enough, All right. So conspicuous. This is the word. Conspicuous term. Law and legal definition. So if you're dealing in law, at law, the books, the UCC states, okay, for commercial, for legal things, for official, they reference something called conspicuous term, okay? What is a conspicuous term? This is how they denote something that is official, legal, public. It's different. Now, remember, as we stated in Black Law's Dictionary, they talk about capitis minimus, okay, which is the no loss of rights, no loss of family lineage, and then capitis medius, which is the mid-ground, a mix of the free and the slave world. So your half, which is your name in upper and lowercase lettering. And then all uppercase lettering is called capitis dimutio maxima, which is Latin for to capitalize, which is a double entendre, which means it has two meanings. To profit on is capitalized, and to make higher visually, which is topography, the lettering. And if it's all capitalized, then from old Roman law, which is where this comes from, you have been made a slave with maximum loss of rights. So dimutio is to diminish. Maxima is the maximum. So to diminish this to the max is capitis dimutio maxima. It's represented by your name in all capitalized letters as a legal entity. You've waived your rights from being underneath the Constitution for the United States of America, the organic. So let's look what it says here. So when they denote that a legal thing should be made in conspicuous term, or it should be made conspicuous, let's read it. Conspicuous term is a term or terms in an agreement. So an agreement is an official thing. It's another word for a contract, an accord, that is written in such a way that a reasonable man, meaning you are competent, you're average, and you can see something, you know what's going on in the world, you're not under any civil disabilities, you're not disabled, you're not special needs, okay? That a reasonable man against whom the term or terms apply ought to have noticed. So what are they saying here? They're saying that you as a reasonable man, and whatever your capacity or status or standing, if you're living, you should be able to notice. You should be able to take notice. Okay, but what do you mean? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's keep going. To notice main features of a conspicuous term are, one, whatever you're visually looking at, they are easy to notice. It stands out. This is where the capitalize your first letter comes from, capitalize all the letters. It is easy to notice that there's a difference. Why? Because in normal writing, all of the characters in their beginnings always would be small. Everything starts small. So if your lettering is small, that is in its natural status. And two, they attract attention. We're going to go into this because, so it should be easy to notice that there's a difference, and it should attract your attention. Now, we've been using the uppercase, lowercase, upper and lower, all upper forever. So we've lost that there is actually a quantum meaning behind these things. Like when somebody sneezes, they say, bless you, or somebody knocks over salt, you throw it over your shoulder. Everybody knows what these things mean, but nobody written it down. And nobody knows who was the first one who created it. We're just accepting these ancient rituals and things, and they become commonplace. Well, they're commonly bringing us into being a corporate entity, and they're essentially allowing us to place our stuff in there, sometimes coercively, into a corporate structure, which is their system. We are taking the organic American stuff, including our own behinds, and putting it into a corporate thing, which is the public, and they can then govern it with impunity. We've lost, or we're losing our land, we're losing our constitution, we're losing our rights, because all of it's being commercialized. So let's go on. The term is codified, okay, so made into law, and defined at UCC-1201. Okay, and this goes part or section 10 under 201 of the Uniform Commercial Code. So we're talking about all these things are commercial. So anything that uses these upper and lower, or all upper, not in their natural, all small capitis minimus capacity or topography, is commercial, it's legal, it's official, it is opposite of the private. Business, government, made with form, of form. So that provision of the code reads conspicuous, with reference to a term means so written, displayed, or presented. Not represented, presented. That a reasonable person against which it is to operate ought to have noticed it. Whether a term is conspicuous or not is a decision for the court. So essentially here, they're saying whoever the court is, whether it's a court of officials who call themselves the court for a business, the court of law, law court, court of knowledgeable people, this just really means a group of people. So they're using the UCC, so they're saying, hey, you guys, say state of Maine, assemble your court and make sure that anything you've done in commercial is conspicuous, because you cannot mix the commercial with the private. Well, let me say this correctly. I didn't say that right. You cannot mix the public and the private. So in order to make sure something is public, official, formatted, business, government, it needs to be conspicuous, easy to notice, and attract your attention. So what they're saying here, now that we understand what's going on, they chose the color black. A long time ago, a lot of things were always blue. That represented the canopy of God, water, freedom, life, living. It's also why the color red. So now that we're getting that, now black represents the entity, the blood of the dead man, legal, cold. Okay. So conspicuous terms include the following. A heading in capitals. It's another way of saying all caps. A heading in capitals. So an entire heading, a heading itself in capitals. It doesn't say the first letter of it. It's saying a heading. Okay. Either way, this can, if you want to construe it the other way, that's fine. So the first letter of the words in the heading are capitalized, or the entire heading itself in capitals. It doesn't say heading in capital, plural, capitals, S, plural, more than one. A heading in capitals equal to or greater in size. So what? Slow down, easy, Tiger. A heading in capitals. So we know what capitals is. That means something is higher. So this can mean the first letter being capital and then the rest being lower. So a heading in capitals equal to or greater in size than the surrounding text. This is it. Commercial. Here's your link. What does it say right here? Commercial code, commerce, maritime jurisdiction. So if you have a heading in capitals equal to or greater in size than the surrounding text, it's commercial, it's legal, it's formal. Or in contrasting type, so typography, is it in a weird look, italicized, something funky? Is the font different? Oh, check it out. Or color to the surrounding text. So what does that mean? They're saying if they make something in the surrounding text that's a different color, it is to be noticed as it is different. There's something different going on here. This is commercial. This word implies with its different color, its different size, its different font, it's different type, it's contrasted, it's in capitals. It is commercial, it is maritime, it is legal, it is public. It is to be considered non-living. But what you're doing when it's all in black is you're saying this is all a commercial thing. But now they're saying if it's in capitals, then that specifically is a commercial entity or a person, legal person. So the color of the surrounding text or the same or lesser size. Size does matter. Oh, sorry. All right. So B, language in the body of a record. The language. What do they mean here? They're talking about if they are using such word as driver. That is part of their language. Commerce, commercial, banking, legal person, legal entity. So the language and the body of a record, so depending on the words you use, what they're saying here, or display in larger than the surrounding text. That's the all caps, guys. Here it is. This is the shebang. This is what we've been looking for. This shuts all that BS down. This is why these people don't know what we're talking about, because they don't read their own stuff. They have adopted the UCC. They know what it is, but they don't know the full code. This is the passage. This is the one text that they're all missing. Share, like, and subscribe. Share this video. Now, once again, I'm not going to entertain any trolls. I delete those emails. They get sent right to trash with their language, or my people see it. I don't see them. So don't try to message me to argue your point, Mr. Lawyer or attorney or whoever else. I don't care. It's right here. Read it. If the commercial code book that you guys use is for doing commerce and you're doing commerce, there's money being exchanged there in the public. They're telling you here that in order to identify it, it needs to be in capitals. Equal or greater. The language that you're using. The display in larger type than the surrounding text. The color, it's all right here. But I finally found it. It only took me like 20 years. To the font, the color to the surrounding text of the same size, or set off from surrounding text of the same size by symbols. Their symbols mean you're doing commerce, or other marks that call attention to the language. That's why sometimes you'll see like a little letter 3 or a number 3 or a little letter or a see this. They're telling you that this is why they have things hyperlinked as well. There's other meanings behind this within the Commerce Code. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. So to all those people who lost their cases, trying to make their points, this is the piece you were missing. Now, because I happen to have two, okay, yes, it's a very nice portrait. Right here, so you can see Uniform Commercial Code. Dun, 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 dun. Show them what you're working with. Yeah, UCC twerk that information. All right. So part 2, general definitions and principles of interpretation. 1-201, general definitions, section or item 10. Conspicuous. With the reference to a term means so written, displayed, presented that a reasonable person against which it is to operate ought to have noticed it. Okay. It goes on to say the same exact things I read. I just want to prove to you guys that it's not just that on the internet and somebody just put it there. Okay, so now I go to the next section where it says official comments. So these are their official comments on that within their own book. So page 19 in the 2021, 2022, I guess I could pull the information from the 23, but it's actually in 2 books I have over there. So conspicuous, derived from the former section 1-201, section 10. The definition states that general standard that to be conspicuous, a term, okay, in commerce, ought to be noticed by a reasonable person. You notice how it didn't say man before? Oh no, it does say person. Okay, just checking. Whether a term is conspicuous is an issue for the court, meaning they give you the ability to use this or how to have, if you want to use all capitals, you want to make it colored different, you want to make it whatever. So colors do matter, guys. This is the information. Oh, colors don't mean anything. It says right here in the UCC, subparagraph A and B set out several methods for making a term conspicuous, requiring that a term be conspicuous blends a notion function or notice function. The term ought to be noticed and a planning function giving guidance to the party relying on the term regarding how that result can be achieved. Although these paragraph terms indicate some of the methods for making a term attention calling, the test is whether attention can reasonably be expected to be called to it. Wow. So what they're really saying here is that, yeah, it's there, and the average person should have the intelligence enough to know that there's something different. But if you are basically not so learned in law or topography or what's going on, which is your low-level functionaries and other people like to hide it, and some people just don't know, that you may not understand it. You may not know what that means. That's on you, but we did our best. We did our best. The statutory language should not be construed to permit a result that is inconsistent with that test. So it's a test. They're testing you. Okay. Now, moving right along. All right, give me one moment. Dude, are you guys not stoked? I'm jazzed. This shuts it down right here. This is what we've been looking for. That is what we've been looking for. All right, so I'll put this one on the screen. Oh, here it is. All right, found it. Share screen. All right. General definitions. Cornell Law EDU. Thanks, guys. I know you guys and your writers and updaters like to watch my videos. So let's take a gander at some stuff you guys got here. Okay. So real quick, look, bank means a person engaged in business. It means a person engaged in business. But here's conspicuous. So what they're saying is when you're doing something in commerce in the UCC jurisdiction, legal, official, to identify that this is different, it's a different jurisdiction, it's a different entity, it's a different thing, something's going on, they have to be made conspicuous. Now, that then tells me that really what they're doing is not fraud per se, but kind of fraud. Because if you accept anything with all capitalized lettering or upper and lowercase lettering, that is something official. I've never seen one document really. Well, let me say this correctly. I have seen some documents where it did say this is an official document, so I stand corrected. But in general, when you're accepting all the rest of these things, not all of them say that. But when a cop says, oh, hey, I can't accept that ID. I need to see something official, something from the state. Because what are they doing? They're doing commerce. Or here, I'll just read it. Conspicuous means clearly visible, obvious to the eye or mind. It can be, so once again, commercial. Okay, well, you know what? I'll just read it. Let's just prove it. It can be something attracting a person's attention. So they use black and all capitalized or upper and lower, all capitalized typography, you know, how it looks to represent legal things. How do we know that? Let's read on. Under the Uniform Commercial Code, you're doing commerce when you do these things. And you're admitting to being their jurisdiction when you use black and upper and lower case or all uppercase information. That's why people a long time ago used red to represent the opposite of their jurisdiction, freedom. The blood of the living man is red. The living man stands on the rooty red soil. And if you read the ancient text of the Bible, written directly without it being modified, it said that Adam, the name Adam, means of the ground. And in the Bible, it said Adam was ruddy in color, reddish, like the ground, like a brown red. Sorry if that hurts anybody's feelings. Do your research. So we know that this is commercial. Under UCC 1-201, Section 10, a term or a clause is said to be conspicuous. Where do you find terms or clauses in contracts? They can be private, but usually it's just a private agreement. Terms or clauses official are in commerce, contracts. They need to be made conspicuous. When it is so written that a reasonable person against whom it is to operate ought to have noticed it. For example, larger fonts or contrasting colors for a particular clause in a contract. Contract, con, means to con you out of something, to connect. Tract, to gain ground, to pull in. Would make those clauses conspicuous. AI, Conspicuous means clearly visible or obvious to the eye or mind. UCC. In defining conspicuous, the UCC, what's that? The UCC, what's that? The UCC provides judges with both a standard and a rule. Okay. So judges have to know what this is. It's a standard and a rule. 33. The UCC's conspicuous standard is familiar, reasonable person. It's commerce, people. Okay. Let's go to the GPO Styles Manual. Let's go right to the PDF. Capitalization rules and examples, 27. Y'all with me? Capitalization, the customer should indicate use of capital and lowercase lettering. So this is a real thing. Here's the main part right here you guys are going to want to always look at in reference. This is huge. In the book on section 3, capitalization rules. Pay close attention to those people out there, various agents and whatnots who like to watch this. Here's the part where it all falls apart, okay, or additional part to that. 3.1, it is impossible. This is the government, GPO Styles Manual, 2016, govinfo.gov. What does it say? The government's saying, the government, not the states. This isn't the states book. This is the government, different jurisdiction. States have their own Styles Manual. The government is stepping in, and if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, they're letting you know what's going on, but you have to be able to understand and interpret the information. Can I get an amen? If it says it is impossible to give rules that will cover every conceivable problem in capitalization. Boom. What are they telling you? They're saying, man, there are so many rules, sub-rules, and whatever else to capitalization. Why would they even have this in here? If there wasn't something of controversy here that they know about. And essentially they're saying, yeah, the states are doing that. And they might be doing it for their reasons, but yeah, sure, we might be using the same stuff. But it might not be the same thing, that the meanings behind them as we're doing. You know what? There's just too many. So once again, it is impossible to give rules. The government is saying this. It is impossible to give rules that will cover every conceivable problem in capitalization. So the fact that it's not fully defined, here is how you would go after them. If it's not defined, you can exploit it. The courts, if you argue the right issues, will back you up. Okay, the courts want to say no. The lower courts want to, or the higher federal court, whatever court you're in. No, there's no such thing as a straw man. Well, okay, yeah, you're right. There's no such thing as a straw man because it's called a public transmitting utility. Argue the right things. It's a legal person or a legal entity. When it's an official thing, and that official thing is not me. It is a mask. It is a persona that has all the embodiments, which is what persona means, of me, but it itself is not me. I am not physically that piece of paper. That paper represents me. I present myself. It represents me, meaning it's not me. Are you guys hearing me? This is what you have to know. This is what you have to be able to argue correctly. It doesn't I present myself. I can represent it, and it can represent me, but it ain't me. I'm a living thing, person, human being, rather, right here, natural private person. So it goes, but by considering the purpose to be served, okay, it's kind of coded here. So if you take into consideration the purpose that the capitalization is to serve, so we know that it is a legal entity because they're doing commerce and they use the UCC book on the state level. So the government, right here, they're saying, yeah, this is how you capitalize, but they themselves are saying, well, we're not under the UCC. We recognize it. We see what you guys are doing. And they're leaving it alone. This is also a good way out for them to be able to say, well, you know, yeah, we just never sat down and defined that. And they're generalizing, saying, oh, you know, there's so many conceivable problems with capitalization. We're just not going to talk about it. Okay. So the fact that you're not going to specifically say that capitalization is to make money on and to raise the lettering and typography, which is under the UCC, or at least the UCC and other styles manuals, say that that is a reduction or a waiving of your rights. You're leaving a jurisdiction. You're using something different that has different governing bodies over it. So if you're not going to quantify it, then I can use this statement against you. Because by law, if it's not written down precisely, now they can say, well, we've never looked at it that way. There's nothing there. Okay, well, you need to define it. So if you're not going to say it's not a legal entity or legal person, then that can be used against you because there's enough information to prove otherwise. All right. So it is impossible to give rules that will, no, it's not impossible. You can list all the ones you know. You have a legal responsibility. So yes, you are supposed to do that. So you know. So here, look, they're telling you there are rules. Let's back it up. They're not saying there's nothing there. Hell, that's why they put here capitalization rules. So they have a list of theirs, some, but not all. So are you saying that these are the only ones fully developed? No interpretation? No, nothing additional? No, they're just saying it's impossible to give rules that will cover every conceivable problem in capitalization. Why? Unless you mean other jurisdictions, but we don't care about other jurisdictions. Or are you telling us that the states and other people who use capitalization, there might be something how they're doing it and why they're doing it, a hidden meaning? Is that what you're telling me, government? Or are you saying you're admitting that there are rules and that even with you, these are not all of them because there's so many conceivable problems and listing all the rules of capitalization. But by considering the purpose to be served and the underlying principles, so there are principles behind these things, it is possible to attain a considerable degree of uniformity. The list of approved forms. Oh, so there's a list of approved forms. So that might mean that there's unapproved forms. Unofficial, other uses and jurisdictions, other municipalities, other governments, sub-franchises. But these approved forms given in Chapter 4 will serve as a guide. This doesn't mean the only way. This means that these are some of the rules, not all of the rules. Okay, let's go on. Obviously, such a list cannot be complete. Bam. Here's how you hit them. Right in the breadbasket. This is not a complete list. The correct usage with respect to any term not included can be determined by analogy or by application of the rules. This is your way out right here. The correct usage, meaning do you understand what these capitalized letters mean? The correct way to also write it in general ways. With respect to any term not included. This can be what? Determined by analogy. Analyze it. Figure it out. Look at how it's used. Look where it's always, this is what we've been doing, government, states, Cornell Law, EDU, et cetera, normal people, fraternal people, all. They're saying here, with respect to any term, if something is not included, then you need to, it can be determined by analogy. Analyze it. Show me your findings, and you are probably right. Or this can be done by application of the rules. See the things that apply, bring the pieces together, and it is so. So let's take a little quick look at Chapter 4 real quick, just because we're right there. This is also the same book where you find the truth about you guys being nationals or natives to the states or Native Americans. Capitalization examples and 4. Okay, well, now here they're just not really going into the all capitalized, so I guess this is kind of useless for what we were looking at, what we want to know. I like how they just maritime. All right. Well, I'm not going to go through all this right now and bore you guys to tears. But this is the quantum grammar of the styles manual. Everybody's a styles manual. Okay. Let me check on something real quick. All right, let me pop this back up real quick. All right, so for those people who want a free UCC book, it is online. You can go to Internet Archive or archive.org and search for Uniform Commercial Code. Here you go. Bangity bang bang. All right, guys. Are you not so entertained? Wow, look at the beard trying to come all in now. Yeah, I'm gonna let this grow out a little bit and see what I looks like. I've never seen a full beard on me. So I guess I should do it at least one time in my life, although I'm gonna shave this, so don't worry about that. I apologize for looking a little scruffy today. So that's it, guys. I mean, we proved it. The UCC book is for commerce, contracts, transactions, commercial use, maritime. They denoted that these certain key terms, words for official use are to be made conspicuous so that people know that this is a different jurisdiction. It's not a private person, natural person. It's a thing. It's legal. It's official. It's formal. Everything opposite of you being private and whatever else. Doesn't mean you can't use it in the private, but in general, to denote that this is a contract, commercial, it's an agreement, it's the public, it's official, it's business, it's government. The word is to be made conspicuous. It's conspicuous terms. The document itself needs to look different. Why does this look different? We're so used to using black now that it's fine. But when there's something of importance there, they change the color. They use black in everything they do because that's the color they chose for their jurisdiction. I mean, even take this letter here from the Department of State. It's glancing at it now. Why do they have their address in black and then the stamp over here in red? I mean, they could have just as well as made that black. Is it in red because it represents the post office, which is different than the United States Postal Service? Is it in red because red numbers, red lettering represent the United States of America? Or that this is lawfully paid, lawful money, positive account, positive credit? And how come on their letter back to me, their letterhead and information is in blue, but then the writing is in black? These things are done for a specific reason, guys. They're not just because. Even if people want to argue, oh, the stars on the passport book. They don't mean anything. They just put there. You think this government and all these other places spend 1 penny extra on millions of things at random? If it doesn't need to be there, wasn't designed, if it's designed, it'll be the same for everybody. They put certain things there for certain reasons. That's why there's such things as called a grammar, quantum syntax grammar, styles manual, commercial code. There's meanings behind it. You are just not smart enough to interpret the information. Not you guys. I'm talking about the naysayers out there. Like Scully said to the board in the X-Files when she had undeniable proof of man intervention with bees and alien viruses. She goes, this board is not qualified to investigate the information nor understand what I'm providing. So before some people start to say something or feel something, make sure you do your research before you feeling some type of way, because my thing out to throw out to all those, you know, attorneys out there and lawyers and whatever else, how do you know what you know? You were taught that by somebody. Doesn't the master always keep a couple of secrets from their students? 5-finger death punch. Swat. Right? Did you read all of the books? Did you read the styles manual for the very things? Oh no, they just said, here, take this and run with it. Be a good soldier. Be a good police officer. Be a good judge. Honorary judge. Well, that's all for now, my beautiful, wonderful people, friends, family, and whatnots out there. I will talk to you guys all later. This is the Badwolf signing off for now. I will talk to you guys later. Enjoy yourselves. Stay wise, stay woke, stay aware, stay warm. Hopefully it stays warm and beautiful. I will talk to you guys later. Wolf's out. Oh, I got to go werewolf somewhere. I can feel it coming on right now. Well,